Billboards around Christchurch at the moment with what I would say are very young people who have or were diagnosed with bowel cancer. I mean, 10 years ago we would have thought of this as perhaps an old person's illness, but it's certainly not the case at all. And on the phone right now, I've got Chelsea Halliwell with me, who is the campaign founder of this amazing campaign, Never Too Young campaign. Chelsea, good morning, and thank you very much for your time this morning.
Morning, Chris. Thanks for taking the time to have a chat.
You're most welcome. You were just 39 years of age when you were diagnosed with bowel cancer. Can you talk to me about how you found out and what symptoms you experienced?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I was 39. It was actually 5 years ago this week, which is quite momentous. And
can I say congratulations? Is that the right thing to say?
It is absolutely the right thing to say. Yeah, I'm really stoked to be here. So I'm here because I was actually really quick at acting on the very small symptoms that I had. I had a little bit of blood in my stool when I went to the toilet, and only not for very long. Just over a period of weeks, sort of off and on. And that for me was just enough to go, hang on, that's not right. That's not something that should be happening.
Yeah.
And went to my GP, and fortunately they acted really quickly. And fortunately also I had health insurance, and so I was through for a colonoscopy very quickly and diagnosed with stage 3 bowel cancer, which, until then I was really fit, really healthy, young kids, just not something that was on the radar at all. So I'm just so pleased I did something about it and got to the doctor.
What did stage 3 bowel cancer mean?
Stage 3 meant that I had a tumour in my bowel that was nearly going through the bowel wall, and once it's gone through, then it starts to spread around to the lymph nodes and around to the rest of the body. So for me it was treatable. I could have surgery and have most of my bowel removed and 6 months of really intense chemo, but after that I'm all clear. So I'm really fortunate. And it's a really treatable disease, so if people can catch it early, then they really can do something about it. And too often, unfortunately, that's not the case in New Zealand, and people either don't have symptoms or they don't act on them. And so that's what this campaign is about: is trying to get people to just go and see their GP. It's something that people are pretty squeamish about bowel cancer and bowel stuff, and I get that. I was as well, but that's our problem in New Zealand. We don't talk about stuff like this, and I think that's why we have a problem.
Chelsea, I was telling the listeners before that when I went to Hong Kong, I think maybe 3 years ago, I was really surprised because, on the tube, on the trams, lots of billboards there with people about, our age, 39, 38, all saying, I've had bowel cancer, or I've been diagnosed. And I was really surprised. I thought, hey, what's going on here? What's the problem here in Hong Kong? But obviously, as more and more countries start to be more aware that this isn't the old person's disease that I personally thought it was, say, 10 years ago, what do you think that's changing? Or do you have any, I wondered if you've got any thoughts on the risk factors?
Well, I guess that's the thing, is that numbers of younger people getting diagnosed are increasing, and around 10% of the people that are diagnosed in New Zealand are under 50. Fortunately, here in New Zealand, numbers are decreasing in the over 60 age group, and that's because we have more screening now. So people are actually getting through that screening program. Awareness is much higher in the older age group than it used to be. Great news. That's really good. It's still a real problem, but it's definitely getting looked at a lot more. Whereas risk factors, there's a lot. The main risk factor is a family history of bowel cancer. Also things like a diet that's high in meat and animal fats, which, we have a lot of that in New Zealand, low in fruit and vegetables and fibre and things. Smoking and alcohol really increase the risk as well, and low amounts of exercise. But I didn't see any of those risk factors, so I think it's important too that people learn to listen to your body. I'll go through what the rest of the symptoms are actually.
Sure,
I think
thank you.
It's useful to know. I didn't have many of them. So as I said, bleeding from the bowel, any sort of persistent change or even intermittent change in your bowel habits. So that's going more often, going less often, all of those sorts of things, if it's just different. Things like fatigue and tiredness and anemia and weight loss. So those are things that can be attributed to so many different sorts of illnesses. It's really difficult to know what's going on, which is why it's just important to have a chat with the GP, as your first port of call.
And it's always about never second-guessing your body and the symptoms. And I mean, I've done a couple of stories with people who sadly their diagnosis wasn't good. And and a few of them have said to me, I knew there was something that wasn't quite right, but I was too busy. I was busy with the kids, or I was busy, making sure hubby was okay, or the family. But they knew in their heart of hearts something wasn't quite right, but they thought, I'm too busy. But that's part of the problem. I think it's part of the way Kiwis are. We just think it won't happen to us. I mean, is it fair to say that as a 39-year-old, when you were diagnosed, you thought, well, this will never happen to me?
I was adamant this would never happen to me. Cancer was something that happened to other people. All of the people in this campaign felt the same way. They were all in their 20s or 30s when they were diagnosed. I asked 9 other people to be in the campaign with me, and all of them said yes immediately. And sadly, 4 of those people have now passed away, which is really heartbreaking. And they are beautiful young people who didn't deserve to go. And so I think it's in their memory that we're doing this campaign. It's so critical that people know that this doesn't just happen to other people, that you need to really act on it and act on your symptoms.
Bowel cancer is the second biggest cancer killer in New Zealand.
It is. It kills more people than breast cancer and prostate cancer combined. Now, that's phenomenal when you think about it. And you think about it's really great that we talk about those things a lot, but bowel cancer is not something that we talk about, and we need to do more of that.
Do you think part of the problem is, and I'm in this category if I'm being honest with you, the colonoscopy? I'll be at the age soon with high risk factors. I'll need the colonoscopy. I'm dreading it.
Yeah, and naturally so. It's not something that we look forward to. It's nowhere near as bad as you think it is. It really isn't. It's over and done with. If anything, the prep's worse because you have to have a bit of a clear out. But it's not as bad as it sounds. And, there's sedation available if you want it, and most people do. I certainly do.
Yeah. But there are other ways to find out, though, aren't there? Is it a blood test?
I'm not sure about the blood test. There's a screening test that you can do if you don't have symptoms. So you can buy those from the pharmacy. If you just want to have a bit of a check, you can go and buy those for about $70 from most of the larger pharmacies stock them. So Bowel Cancer New Zealand recommend those if you just want to have a bit of peace of mind. But if
I've seen those. What do they do? I've seen them at my local chemist, and I wonder what they would do. I mean,
Yeah,
do you know?
They're checking for traces of blood. So you just put a stool sample into this little envelope, post it off to somewhere in Australia, I think, and they scan it and they're looking for traces of blood. So if you have a tumour in your bowel, you're bleeding from it, and it's looking for that sort of blood that's coming through that you wouldn't necessarily notice otherwise. Right. So they're not foolproof, but they're definitely a way of having a little bit of peace of mind, because you certainly wouldn't get through on the health system for a colonoscopy if you didn't have any symptoms.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, listen, congratulations on a really worthwhile campaign. I say that sincerely. I mean, the billboards are everywhere around Christchurch. It really makes me think. They are so clear. I don't know if you're aware of that, but I see them everywhere I am, so that's obviously a good thing. And you are doing an amazing job raising awareness for something that is, for many people, including myself, slightly uncomfortable sort of discussion.
Right. Really good. Oh, thank you. No, it's great. We were able to put that campaign together at no cost at all. All
amazing.
Donating advertising and things. So it's amazing what people do when you ask them.
It is. Cool. There's some kind people out there, including yourself, Chelsea Halliwell. Nice to speak with you. Thank you so much for your time this morning, and congratulations again on a wonderful, worthwhile campaign.
That's awesome. Thanks for your time, Chris.
All the best. It's Newstalk ZB.